Hello everyone, I am Saatvik Batra, a student of BCom Honours studying in Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, Delhi University. Today I am here to explain to you guys the topic of assessment that comes under the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017, Chapter 12. I'll try to explain it in a little detail so that you understand each and every aspect of the topic.
So let's get started, guys. First of all, we'll see what are all the sections that are included in the topic assessment of Central Goods and Services Tax 2017. So it includes the sections from section 59 to section 64. These are, the first section is section 59, self-assessment. The second section is section 60, provisional assessment. Then comes section 61, which is security of returns. Then comes section 62, which is assessment of non-filtered returns. Then the fifth section is section 63, assessment of unregistered persons. And the last section which is included in this assessment topic is section 64, summary of assessment in certain special cases. Now I'll explain to you guys each of these sections in detail in the further part. So let's continue. So the first section is self-assessment. This is a section where we self-assess and file our return in income tax. Same way here also, all the returns that are mentioned in section 39, that are section GSTR 3B, 3, GSTR 4, GSTR 5, GSTR 6, GSTR 7, all these returns are filed under this section through self-assessment. हम खुद ही अपनी रिटर्न में बताते हैं हमारी परचेज क्या है, हमारी सेल क्या है, उसके बेसिस पे we calculate the tax and we file the return on the basis of our self-assessment. So we'll read also, every registered person shall self-assess the taxes payable under this act and furnish a return for each tax period as specified under section 39. This also explains the same. Next section is section 60, that is provisional assessment. So the provisional assessment includes that if a person is confused in the value or tax rate of supply, अगर बंदे को पता नहीं होता कि वैल्यू या फिर टैक्स रेट जो अप्लाई होगा उसकी सप्लाई आइटम पे, then the person is not able to self-assess. Then he goes to the proper officer, and the proper officer, according to the rule number 98, has to assess the return within a period of 90 days. वो 90 days के अंदर assess करके he will tell the person कि on what rate and what value the person can file the return provisionally. Now the proper officer, for his security, gets filled a bond or a surety filled by the person that he will pay any balance amount of tax at the time of finalizing the return for any future tax liability. The return is to be finalized within a period of 6 months, maximum period of 6 months. Now sometimes a situation happens after 6 months also the exact actual value of the supply item or tax rate is not finalized. then the person would apply to the additional commissioner to extend his term, but the additional commissioner can extend the term by a maximum period of 6 months. So if that period is also not enough, the person would go to the commissioner who can extend this time period to a maximum of 4 years. Now after this all ends and the return is finalized, if there is some balance amount of tax that is to be paid, so it implies a interest also on it. That interest is implied from the date section 39 specifies the tax to be paid till the date the final return is final and the tax is paid. तो वो उतने पीरियड का, पूरे पीरियड का उस पर इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ेगा. और अगर सिमिलरली अगर हमने टैक्स ज़्यादा पे कर दिया हुआ एंड वी शुड गेट अ रिफंड, तो फिर हमारे को उस टाइम से लेके जिस दिन हमारे को रिफंड के पैसे मिलेंगे तब से तब तक का हमारे को इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. Now we would read this. First point, subject to the provisions of subsections 2, where the taxable person is unable to determine the value of goods or services or both, or determine the rate of tax applicable thereto, he may request the proper officer in writing giving reasons for payment of tax on provisional basis, and the proper officer shall pass an order within a period not later than 90 days from the date of receipt of such request, allowing the payment of tax on provisional basis at such rate or such value as may be specified by him, as I told you. The second point is, the payment of tax on provisional basis may be allowed if the taxable person executes a bond in such form may be prescribed and with such surety or security as the proper officer may deem fit, binding the taxable person for payment of difference between the amount of tax as may be finally assessed and the amount of tax provisionally assessed. Now, the third point is, the proper officer shall, within a period of not exceeding 6 months from the date of communication of order issued under subsection 1, pass the final assessment order after taking into account such information as may be required for finalizing the assessment. मैंने बताया था कि 6 months के पीरियड में हमारे को फाइनलाइज करना पड़ेगा उस असेसमेंट को, provided that the period specified in the subsection may, on sufficient cause being shown and for reasons to be recorded in writing, be extended by the joint commissioner or additional commissioner for a further period not exceeding 6 months and by commissioner for a further period not exceeding 4 years. अगर हमारे को वो टाइम भी पहले 6 months भी सफिशिएंट नहीं होते तब हम एडिशनल कमिश्नर के पास जाते हैं, एंड वो भी नहीं, फिर 6 months नहीं सफिशिएंट होते तो कमिश्नर के पास, देन टू गेट एक्सीडेड टू टिल 4 years. द फोर्थ पॉइंट इज, द रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन shall be liable to pay interest on any tax payable on supply of goods or services or both under provisional assessment but not paid on the due date specified under subsection 7 of section 39 or the rules made thereunder at the rate specified under subsection 1 of section 50 from the first day itself after the due date of payment of tax in respect of the said supply of goods and services or both till date of actual payment, whether such amount is paid before or after the issuance of order for final assessment. As I told you कि जिस फर्स्ट डेट से अकॉर्डिंग टू सेक्शन 39 हमारे को वो टैक्स हमारी लाइबिलिटी हो गई थी, उस डेट से लेके फाइनल असेसमेंट की डेट तक, फाइनल असेसमेंट के बाद जब हम वो पे करेंगे उस पर्टिकुलर डेट तक का जितना भी टाइम स्पैन होगा, उसमें जो डिफरेंस आएगा टैक्स लाइबिलिटी में, उसके ऊपर हमारे को इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ेगा. और द फिफ्थ पॉइंट इज whether the registered person is entitled to a refund consequent to the order of final assessment under subsection 3 subject to provisions of subsection 8 of section 54. Interest shall be paid on such refund as provided in section 56. अगर वही सेम बात है कि अगर हम जैसे अब हमारे को रिफ़ंड मिलना चाहिए था, तो जो रिफ़ंड का अमाउंट होगा फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ जिस दिन हमने वो पे कर दिया टिल द फाइनल असेसमेंट, उस टाइम स्पैन का हमारे को उस रिफंड अमाउंट पे इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. नाउ द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन इज सेक्शन 61. नेक्स्ट सेक्शन सेज दैट नाउ यू हैव फाइल्ड योर रिटर्न थ्रू सेल्फ असेसमेंट. अब सेल्फ असेसमेंट से रिटर्न फाइल तो कर दिया है, so that return would be scrutinized by the proper officer. The proper officer will scrutinize the return and look for any correctness or discrepancy found in the return. अब अगर उन्हें discrepancy मिलती है, then they will inform through a notice and seek for an explanation. Now if the explanation is found acceptable, it can be in the form of some explanation or payment also. So that explanation or payment is found acceptable, so no further action or information shall be passed and the topic would end there. But if the explanation is not furnished within a period of 30 days or it is not found apt, the proper officer and that discrepancy is not removed within the next return filed, the proper officer can take appropriate actions against it, and these actions can be under the section 65, section 66, section 67, section 73 and section 74. So section 65 and 66 are related to the audit. The section 67 is search seizure, and the section 73 and 74 are demand. 73 is demand in a genuine case, and section 74 is related to the demand in fraudulent cases. Now we may read it as security of scrutiny of returns. Section 61, first point is the proper officer may scrutinize the returns and related particulars furnished by the registered person to verify the correctness of the return and inform him of the discrepancies noticed, if any, in such manner as may be prescribed, and seek his explanation thereto. Second point is, in case the explanation is found acceptable, the registered person shall be informed accordingly and no further action shall be taken in this regard. The third point is, if in case no satisfactory explanation is furnished within a period of 30 days of being informed by the proper officer, or such further period as may be permitted by him, or where the registered person, after accepting the discrepancies, fail to take corrective measure in his return for the month in which the discrepancy is accepted, the proper officer may initiate appropriate action, including those under section 65 or section 66 or section 67, or proceed to determine the tax and other dues under section 73 and section 74. Now the next section is section 62, assessment of non-filers of returns. Non-filers of returns. अगर अब आप सोचो कि इफ़ यू डोंट फाइल अ रिटर्न दैट इज़ मेंट टू बी फाइल्ड अंडर सेक्शन 39 और सेक्शन 45, तो आपको टैक्स पे करना नहीं पड़ेगा, ऐसा नहीं है. If you don't pay you file your return, then a notice is issued under section 46 by the proper officer. And if you don't file the return even after receiving that notice, the proper officer may proceed to assess the tax liability. प्रॉपर ऑफिसर टैक्स लाइबिलिटी असेस करेगा on the basis of his judgment and on the basis of the material available to him, and furnish that assessment within a period of 5 years. But agar ab the registered person furnishes a return within a period of 30 days, 30 days mein if you furnish a return, then the service of assessment, वो वाला जो नोटिस होगा दैट विल लैप्स, बट द कंडीशन इज यू हैव टू फर्निश अ रिटर्न and also pay the interest and the late fee that is meant to be paid because of the late filing of return, and the notice will lapse automatically. So now we'll read assessment of non-filers of returns, section 62. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary combined in section 73 or section 74, where a registered person fails to furnish the return under section 39 or section 45, even after the service of a notice under section 46, the proper officer may proceed to assess the tax liability of the said person to the best of his judgment, taking into account all the relevant material which is available, of which he has gathered, and issued an assessment order within a period of 5 years from the date specified under section 44 for furnishing of annual return for the financial year to which the tax not paid relates. Second point is, where the registered person furnishes a valid return within 30 days of the service of assessment order under subsection 1, the said assessment order shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, but the liability for payment of interest under subsection 1 or section 50 or the payment of late fees under section 47 shall continue. Now the next section is assessment of unregistered persons, section 63. अब अगर आप सोचो कि हम रजिस्टर ही नहीं करवाते तो अब हमारे को कैसे टैक्स लाइबिलिटी हो जाएगी, तो बट ऐसा नहीं है. इफ़ अंडर द टैक्सेबल पर्सन डेफिनेशन यू आर अ टैक्सेबल पर्सन इवन दो यू आर अनरजिस्टर्ड, तो पहली बात तो आपको वहाँ रजिस्टर्ड होना चाहिए था. अगर आप फिर भी नहीं हो तो भी ऐसा नहीं है कि यू विल बी लेफ्ट, अ प्रॉपर assessment would be done and you will have to pay the tax. अब इसमें क्या क्या होता है, दो केसेस होते हैं. एक तो होता है कि आपने रजिस्टर ही नहीं करवाया, और दूसरा केस होता है कि योर रजिस्ट्रेशन हैज़ बीन कैंसल्ड अंडर सब सेक्शन 2 ऑफ सेक्शन 29. अब सेक्शन 29 के अंडर आपकी रजिस्ट्रेशन कौन कौन से केसेस हैं, ऐसे 5 केसेस हैं जिसमें आपकी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो सकती है. अब अगर कैंसिल भी हो गया है तो भी आपको टैक्स लाइबिलिटी अगर आपकी बन रही है तो आपको वो टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. अब जो ये 5 चीज़ें हैं अंडर सब सेक्शन 2 सेक्शन 29, वो हैं, द फर्स्ट इज, अगर इफ़ यू डोंट कंप्लाई विद द लॉ you work in contravention of prescribed provisions. Second है कि if you are a composition dealer and you are not filing a return for 3 consecutive periods. Third is if you are a normal person normal filer, and you do not file a return for 6 months. Then the fourth one is non-commencement of business. If you don't commence your business for 6 months by voluntary registered person, अगर आप वॉलेंट्री रजिस्ट्रेशन ले लेते हो और उसके 6 महीने तक अपना बिजनेस कमेंस नहीं करते हो तो आपकी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो जाएगी. फिफ्थ एंड द लास्ट पॉइंट इज when you get registered by a means of fraud or wittiful misstatement, और किसी फैक्ट्स को छुपा के अगर आप रजिस्ट्रेशन करा लेते हो, देन अंडर सेक्शन 29 आपकी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो सकती है. अब अगर आपकी टैक्स लायबिलिटी बनती है, देन द प्रॉपर ऑफिसर विल असेस योर return on the basis of his judgment and the information available to him and within a period of 5 years. और वो specify कर देगा under section 44 furnishing you for annual return for the financial year in which the tax is not paid. Now we'll read section 63. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in section 73 or section 74, where a taxable person fails to obtain registration even though liable to do so, or whose registration has been cancelled under subsection 2 of section 29, but who was liable to pay the tax, the proper officer may proceed to assess the tax liability of such taxable person to the best of his judgment for the relevant tax periods, and issue an assessment order within a period of 5 years from the date specified under section 44 for furnishing of annual returns for the financial year to which the taxable tax not paid relates. Second point is, provided that no such assessment order shall be passed without giving the person an opportunity to be heard, but the person should be given an opportunity to be heard beforehand. So now the last section in assessment is summary assessment in certain special cases. This is section 64. अब इसमें summary assessment होती है, ये 2 टाइप्स की होती है. First type is where the proper officer has some evidence, या उसको लगता है कि that some person is responsible for some tax liability. तो like he knows the person, तो with the previous permission of additional commissioner or the joint commissioner, the proper officer can issue a summary assessment. वो summary assessment इसलिए issue करेंगे क्योंकि the proper officer feels like कि अगर हम इसमें delay करेंगे तो it would be adverse for interest of revenue, कि वो person हमारे हाथ से निकल सकता है और हमारे यहाँ रेवेन्यू का लॉस हो सकता है. तो दे विल क्विकली इशू अ समरी असेसमेंट, बट द समरी असेसमेंट दैट इज इशूड शुड हैव अ प्रॉपर एविडेंस विद इन इट बिफोर इशूइंग. ऐसे ही नहीं किसी के ऊपर भी आप असेसमेंट इशू कर सकते हो और टैक्स लगा सकते हो. अब जो इसका सेकेंड केस है, इसमें द प्रॉपर ऑफिसर नोज अबाउट द सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स, बट इसमें जो लायबल पर्सन है जिसने सप्लाई करी है वो पर्सन असेटेनेबल है, उसको हम ढूंढ नहीं पा रहे हैं और वो फर्स्ट ही ट्राइज टू फाइंड इट आउट, बट देन ऑल्सो द पर्सन इज़ नॉट फाउंड. तो अब इस केस में जो पर्सन हु इज़ इन चार्ज ऑफ द गुड्स शैल बी लायबल फॉर द असेसमेंट एंड द पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स और एनी अदर अमाउंट ड्यू. तो अब उस केस में जिस पर्सन के पास गुड्स हैं, हु होल्ड्स द गुड्स, उसी की असेसमेंट हो जाएगी और उसको टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. अब द पर्सन हु, अब इसका सेकेंड पॉइंट है, द पर्सन हु इज़ टैक्सेबल, वो एक एप्लीकेशन इशू कर सकता है अगर उसको लगता है कि जो उसके ऊपर टैक्स लगाया गया है वो ठीक नहीं है. फिर इस केस में द एडिशनल कमिश्नर एंड जॉइंट कमिश्नर विल सी द केस, एंड अगर वो और जो असेसमेंट है वो एररस फाइंड करते हैं वो लोग, तो वो जो नोटिस है एंड दैट असेसमेंट एंड द टैक्स दैट इज अप्लाइड वुड बी कैंसल्ड, और द प्रोसीजर जो नॉर्मल प्रोसीजर होता है अंडर सेक्शन 73 एंड 74 वो फॉलो किया जाएगा. Now we'll read summary assessment in certain special cases. Section 64. The proper officer may, on any evidence showing a tax liability of a person coming to his notice, with previous permission of additional commissioner or joint commissioner, proceed to assess the tax liability of such person to protect the interest of revenue, and issue an assessment order if he has sufficient grounds to believe that any delay in doing so may adversely affect the interest of revenue. ये फर्स्ट केस हो गया. अब सेकंड केस, provided that where the taxable person to whom the liability pertains is not ascertainable and such liability pertains to supply of goods, the person in charge of such goods shall be deemed to be the taxable person, liable to be assessed and liable to pay tax or any other amount due under this section. Second point, on an application made by taxable person within 30 days from the date of receipt of orders passed under subsection 1, or on his own motion, if additional commissioner or joint commissioner considered that such orders is errorous, he may withdraw such order and follow the procedure laid down in section 73 and section 74.
Thank you all for watching. I hope I was helpful to you guys with this topic of assessment. Signing off. Bye bye.